Hello and welcome to the Late Challenge, episode 68. I'm Gareth Roberts, he's Paul Cope, and we're talking about the end of the Jürgen Klopp era at Liverpool. He's gone. His last day is done. He is now a man on Instagram that we love, and we can watch there as he dances with John Barnes, as he gives us his messages, and as he seems to confirm in general that he is going to stick to it and he's going to go and live some life. So fair play to him. But what do we think about it all? What do we think about his departure? What do we think about the next fella? It's just been announced literally a couple of minutes ago that Arne Slot is joining Liverpool Football Club in the worst kept secret ever. He signed a 3-year contract. And now I wonder, and Paul wonders, and maybe you wonder, that when Paul Joyce reports it, why is he saying he needs to improve Darwin Núñez? And why is he saying he needs to improve Szoboszlai and Konate? Like, what's that from? Is that a briefing? Is there a secret message in there? I don't know. We'll get into all of that. We've had loads of tweets from you all today, which has been fantastic. So we'll work our way through some of those as well. Nice to see some comments building up already in the live chat. Join in. If you send something sensible, if you send something worthwhile, I may well read that out as well. But let's start with yesterday. We're winging it a bit today, I've got to be honest with you, but you know, aren't we always? But even more so than normal this time around. There's no agenda. I didn't do my homework. Instead, I had a pint post Jürgen and drowned my sorrows.
Late?
What?
Late one?
You know what? Till pub closing time type of thing, and then walked down, got the train back to mine, and yeah.
What was town like?
I didn't go to town, just had a pint round by the ground.
What was it like? What was the atmosphere like?
Plenty of people out, fair to say, as you would expect. Sort of, that's a general thing, isn't it, of last game of the season. But yeah, it was, I would say it was a strange atmosphere post, you know, the Klopp speeches, etc. in the pubs. I saw plenty of people upset in the ground, lots of tears, lots of sad faces. I nearly went myself on the bit where he was saying, like, you know, you are the power, you're the thing that makes that special and all that. I like all that, don't I? I like the fact that he's always acknowledged the fans and what we can do, and the fact that he has played a huge part in getting Anfield back to what it should be. And we've ended the season with the best home record in the Premier League, just saying. But yeah, I nearly went at that bit. In the pub, there was just lots of discussion. I was quite down in the dumps myself, I've got to be honest. And obviously a pint never helps with that, does it? Given that it's literally a depressant. But, you know, I got in and I did a bit of a piss tweet saying, like, I just don't think it's going to be as good now. And look, you know, it may well be. And Jürgen's messaging was all about, you know, get behind the new man. And he literally grabbed the mic and started singing Arne Slot all over Anfield, which I don't think was part of any script, but fair play to him. But yeah, I just think, you know, watching all of those people that are leaving, obviously, you know, a couple of players are leaving as well and all that, you just think it's just a huge leap into the unknown, isn't it? And I just think, you know, Jürgen was just so got it. Do you know what I mean? Got everything. Like all this, I think all the stuff he's done this week or the last week or so has been absolutely brilliant. I thought, you know, the letter to the Echo is a stroke of genius. The messaging in it, absolutely spot on. And you know what? It says it all, this. I obviously work in like a comms stroke PR role now. And one of the newsletters I subscribe to actually sent a thing out this morning, the lessons to learn from Jürgen Klopp's messaging. And it was about, what he was saying was, it was about, you know, so often it was about emotion, wasn't it? And he was an emotional manager and an emotional communicator, an honest communicator. And I think he was pretty good again, wasn't he? And look, he genuinely seems to love the people in the city as much as he does the club. It's not just about, he hasn't just come in and been a football manager, has he? He's come in and embraced the lot. And I believe him when he says, like, you know, I love that line about, like, you know, you probably don't want me to do anything football wise again, and that's fair enough, but if the city ever needs me for whatever reason, I'm there. Love that.
Yeah.
Great line. how did you feel about it, watching it all unfold? Obviously, you will have seen lots of things that I didn't see. I mean, one thing I did spot, and you couldn't miss from the Kop, Jamie Carragher's kecks. Woof! Could spot them bad boys on the back of the Kop. Because my mate was like, "Are you sure that's Carragher with them on?" It's definitely him, mate, honestly. And then...
Why, what did he have on?
Like white kecks.
I'm watching it on telly and I haven't even noticed that. And you're spotting it from the back of the Kop.
But yeah, you couldn't miss them bad boys from block 304. But yeah, well, how was it watching it all unfold on the telly then?
Well, for me personally, I was I got quite emotional watching it. It was funny because I was thinking, well, I'm sitting in my own house, so I can shed a little tear without any fear of embarrassment here. But the big thing for me, and maybe we'll talk more about this. I might write something about this actually. I started jotting something down on the way in. For me, he's mentioned something in a couple of the interviews in the build up to it. Like, he's been manager for nearly a decade, and one of my catchphrases, I was thinking about this a lot. Like, we talk about decades, and he said he's been here a decade. But when you stop and think about it, and especially as you get into your middle age and you start thinking about age more and life, we don't have that many decades. Like, on average now, most of us are going to get 8 in our lives. 6 of those are as an adult. And one of them has been spent with Jürgen Klopp as Liverpool's manager. And it doesn't matter what age you were when he came in. It would be rare, I would think, for anybody not to have experienced a whole range of things in that 10 years. Because I was thinking, like, there'll be, starting at the very youngest fan, there'll be Liverpool fans who were born when he was the manager and are now 9 years old. So they're properly becoming footy fans. And they don't know what Liverpool Football Club looks like without him being the manager. Yeah. Then there'll be others who, were that age when he came in and are now adults. They're 18 years old. My niece is one of them. She started going to the match this season. And then for the rest of us, life changes a lot in a decade. So I couldn't help but just think back to everything that's gone on in those 9 years. And it's emotional what you think, like, the impact a manager of your football club can have, especially if he's there for that time, and the impact he can have on an entire city, or at least one half of it, and the adventures we've been on. I don't think it's possible not to feel a range of emotions about it. And I did think it was lovely. Like, it was very fitting, and very much him to be going out with a message of trying to keep everyone upbeat and happy and carry on believing and the rest of it. But it was interesting in his post-match press conference I just watched today, where he acknowledged himself that, I'm sure, he basically said, I'm sure my dip will come, because I've got to hold myself together for all this. But then I was thinking, he's going to be in his house in Formby today. And in the stuff that me and you love talking about the day-to-day, it's that yesterday was basically his last day in a job. And today is him moving. Like, he's literally going to pack up his house and leave where he lives and say goodbye to his neighbours and say goodbye to all the people in the local area he knows. And I'm sure there'll be tears come for him at that point. Because the other side of everyone being optimistic for the future and happy, you just said he was all about emotions and stuff. And one of my big things is, it's okay for everyone to feel sad for a bit, because it is sad. It's sad for that chapter of all of our lives to have come to an end. Yeah, it is. It really is. And obviously you turn to, where's it going and what's going to happen next and all that kind of thing. It's inevitable. The other thing as well that I've been doing is sort of looking to where we've been, where we were, and there we are, all this confusion, etc. When he comes in, where were we under Brendan Rodgers? Okay, there was a title challenge, and we always talk about that, don't we? And we always say, it was a roller coaster ride. It was unexpected. It was good. You felt the city come alive. You felt the support come alive. But then it dipped the other way. It was literally, that gets used a lot, doesn't it? Roller coaster ride, but it really was, wasn't it? Because we went all the way up, thinking we were going to finally end the duck, finally win the league, and then we come all the way down.
in terms of, well, we didn't win it and then we dropped off a cliff. You know what I mean? Like Suarez goes, we sign, substandard players. We're beaten 6-1 on the last game of the season by Stoke City. I think we lost 12 that season as well in the league. We start the next one with there's a load of draws in there. We got significantly beaten by West Ham at Anfield the first time they'd done that since the 60s. And when Klopp comes in, he's taken a massive leap of faith to come to Liverpool, hasn't he? When you think about it, when you look back, because he had the choice of world football really in terms of clubs who were after him. It seemed like he was tapped up by lots of clubs. He previously had Liverpool coming for him as well when he was in the middle of the Dortmund job, and he'd knocked it back. And so there's something there, isn't there, from day dot really with him, that he's identified something early on that he likes about the club, the city, the people, whatever. Felt that there's something there to go and harness. Not seemed overly concerned about the idea that it was like, what was it when he joined? 25 years, was it, or something like that, since he'd won the league. But referenced it, didn't he? I mean, it's lots of references to that first press conference, and rightly so. But one of the ones was the backpack quote, wasn't it? About, yes, it's a long time since we've done what we want to be doing, but we don't have to carry that history around in a backpack. And then I've said it many times, I'll keep saying it, I'll always say it about him, just the way he owned the job from day one. I just think that's like such a hard thing to do. You can come in and say the right things. You can come in and have a prepared speech. Everyone's going to be looking at you. There's going to be a million articles written about you. And look, you might say something that ticks the boxes, but there's ticking boxes and there's saying the right thing, but there's just looking like you absolutely mean it, and you've got this supreme confidence, the right side of arrogance. And he's always had that, hasn't he? Just, in a second language, coming in and just saying all those things that opening day, the normal one quote, all the other quotes, just the way he was around the place as well, the bellowing laughter, taking the mick out of photographers, all taking a picture of him, Ian Eyre in a headlock, looked cool as fuck. You knew, I think if you were sat in that press conference on day one, you knew that he was the man, and that if anyone was going to ever win us the league, it was that man. Now, what was giving me the blues a little bit yesterday was, I just don't know enough about this next fella, and I've read the stuff that everyone's read, I've seen what he's done with Feyenoord, but however you sell it, he just doesn't have the pedigree of Jürgen Klopp, does he? And like there is an element of poison chalice here. There's got, of course, that's why I think Xabi Alonso and his agents have looked at it and gone,
swerve it.
You don't want to be the man that follows that. Yeah. And like, when you saw the emotion in the ground yesterday, and you saw, players crying and all that kind of thing as well, and what he's done, and how he just nails absolutely every form of communication on the regular to win our hearts and minds all the time. I just think, it's so hard for this next fella to walk in and have that. And look, it's great that Klopp did what he did, and that, it says something of the man that, as you said, he's already trying to turn it round and say, get behind this next fella. You know what I mean? And it's a bit daft, and it's a bit... it's a bit Klopp, isn't it, to sing the song. I've just been driving in there and I've heard Andy Goldstein, the big mank, Cockney mank, saying, why is a grown man singing a song on a microphone, and all this? And I thought, shut up, Nabed. It's up to us to decide if that was right. And I think you'll find we're fine with it.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
Talking about the footage, the TV footage versus you being in the ground, Carragher said something that I absolutely loved. And he said, one of the things Klopp has done brilliantly as being Liverpool manager is he doesn't give a shit what anybody else thinks. Yeah. It's not about the other clubs, it's about us. Yeah. So when he's talking about this means more, and he said it a few times in interviews in the past couple of weeks in the build-up to him leaving, he's saying, that's about us. Yeah. You can get a cob on about it as much as you want. You can decide whether it means more to you or not. It's not about you. I've said to you before, I always remember writing a tub thumping article for the Anfield Rap years ago, and and it was all, you know, how great we are and how powerful we are, and a lot of the stuff Klopp does as well. And one of my mates is Sheffield United fan, like, messaged me saying, it's a bit biased, that, mate. Like, yeah, it's not for you, mate. I wasn't writing it for Sheffield United fans. I was writing it for Liverpool fans. And that's something that he's got spot on all the way through, which is forget about everyone else. And Carragher said that, like, forget about anyone laughing at you for having a good time. Forget about anyone taking the piss out of you for enjoying 100%. Yourself. Throw yourself into it. Enjoy it for what it's meant to be. Because going back to that thing I said before, we don't have that much time on this planet. And if there's anything in your life, as you get to our age, and, you know, one of our things about starting this podcast and the people we're speaking to, we all know that feeling. The older you get, the heavier life becomes. Yeah. And I'm embracing those things that give you that joy, that give you that passion, give you that excitement. It's a really important part of life. And he gave us that and embraced it massively. And something I said to you just before we started recording, I think is that him doing that song in his farewell was a bit like his opening press conference. And I think something that's endeared him to us and to everybody as much as anything else is, he's never been like the slickest or the coolest. He's like the ideal front man. Do you know what I mean? He's handsome enough that he's handsome, but he's not too handsome that it's intimidating. He's a big fella and he's confident, but he's not arrogant. And he's still a little bit nerdy and a little bit awkward. Yeah. And he still does things that sometimes you're like, not sure about that, mate. But isn't that all of us? Yeah. Like, isn't that what it is to be human? And I think that's one of the reasons we've all taken to him so much and everyone loves him so much. He's
himself.
He's just a fella.
Yeah.
And he's a brilliant fella and he's brilliant at what he does. And he's full of flaws, like all of us. And he gets things wrong, like all of us. And he's the first to admit. And that's one of the things I did like. I know we were reading again before we came on that there's been some criticism of the way the farewell was stage managed and all that. And we were saying similar things. But I do like the way that he probably doesn't care whether most people have heard of the people in his backroom staff that are coming up to get the photo and be acknowledged. He gave this interview where he said Jürgen Klopp isn't anyone without them, and he named each of them. Like, they are me. You just get to see me. You talk about Jürgen Klopp, but Jürgen Klopp actually isn't a thing without all these other people that he wants to acknowledge. And so I think all of that just ties into everything we've seen from him. I
think that added to the anxiety for me, though, you know, like just seeing all these people leaving and it being like, you know, like I get that criticism, and I said myself, it was just a long time to be standing on your feet, you know, and then, you know, it says everything about modern football, doesn't it? That you've got, like, you know, if we take the Wolves end out of it, 58,000 people maybe standing there waiting to hear from Jürgen Klopp, and what's he got to go and do first? 1 million and one media interviews. And it's like, sure, this is the wrong way round, you know, if we all stop and think about that. But then, you know, he eventually comes out, and then it's like everything, you know, I don't know if you could hear on the telly what one thing that was good, obviously, like towards the end of the game, you know, the Jürgen Klopp song was just sang over and over and over again, getting louder and louder and louder. Now, surely that did come through because it was loud on the cop
a lot,
and it was great, and it was like you couldn't help but like put your all into it. It felt boss. It felt like we were just this, you know, all as one, just saying, mate. Do you know what I mean?
That was the bit, because you wouldn't been able to see this, but that was the bit when, because even before the game, he looked like he was holding himself together. As that just kept going, that was the bit when the camera went on where you could see it, like he was really having to work hard to keep it.
You could feel it in the ground, though. I mean, you know what I mean?
I could feel it at home. Like, I was getting emotional at that bit.
It was like, you know, how could you not? Like, we all were, he was, everyone, it was just that whole thing as one, just like so loud.
Well, they said to Virgil afterwards,
pinging every 2 seconds, saying it was in a loud environment or whatever. And I was like, I know, I want to be in a loud environment. Shut up, Apple.
They said to Virgil afterwards, because I might think about that, there was still like 5 minutes of the game to play. They were like, how hard was it hard to play a footy game while that was going on? He was like, yeah. It was.
it almost didn't matter, the football, like
by then,
by
exactly,
the end.
yeah.
I mean, you know, there's a certain irony there. I thought about how the actual game went to just to briefly mention that, in that, you know, we've been calling for weeks, haven't we, for wouldn't it be nice to have a nice, you know, have a clean sheet, have a nice, you know, 2-0 win, nice and comfortable. They get a man sent off as well. And it's like, yeah, I wanted this a few weeks ago, to be honest, lads. Not on the final day, but, you know, it is what it is.
In fairness, though, it ties in. I was laughing thinking about you, because my line that I love saying to wind you up, now that like everything happens for a reason, and we said last week, imagine the Villa game if we'd have needed to win that to win the league, and we were still in a league title race. Imagine yesterday's game if we were having to win the league and all that was going on. I just don't think it would have been possible. Like, what would everyone have? How would we have handled it? It would have been too much. And I just think a few weeks ago it was like, because someone said on Sky we were top of the league with 8 games to go, and you forget that. But I just think it was best for everybody that we didn't end up in a league title charge at the end, because I'm not sure anybody could have handled all of those conflicting emotions.
I know.
Would have been too much.
Would have been wild. Thanks to a couple of people who've thrown in the old super chat. So Darmock channel. It says, all the best, lads. Looking forward to getting back to the grumpy old men with loads of Tory bashing and crisp talk. Indeed, obviously through the summer we are carrying on. We'll be here every week like we always are, but we won't necessarily be talking about Liverpool, because, you know, there is no Liverpool for a bit. There's a bit of a break, isn't there? So we'll still be doing bits, obviously, and we'll no doubt talk about the new manager and who we might sign and who we might sell, and maybe do a bit of a review of the season, things like that. We haven't really got a plan. We haven't.
As you can imagine, yeah.
But we'll certainly be doing other stuff away from football as well, like we used to. So all of that'll be coming up. Thanks also to James Ellis, who's thrown 20 quid in. Cheers, mate. He says, all right, Robbo, met you outside the Glenbook after the match yesterday and inflated your head in front of your mates. I said I'd chuck you a super like today. I'm a man of my word. There's a few pints for you and Kopi. Thanks very much, mate.
Nice
and
words.
It was nice to meet you and the lads there. Quite a few people were really kind yesterday about the podcast and about what we're doing, and that was really nice. So thanks for all of those who did come up and speak to us. And as James recognises there, that really does me mate said him when people come up and go, you're my favourite, you're boss you and all that, and I'm like, oh really? Yeah, thank you. And they're like, fuck's sake, this again. So yeah, keep doing that, everyone. And there's another one here. I don't know what this is. I don't know what type of money he's put in there, but it's not one I recognise. Marks, is it maybe, or something? Matthew May, anyway, says, great vids, boys. Get the teams and Nando's and a bevy. And whatever the denomination is that he's put in, is that the right word? 20,000 of them anyway. I'm presuming it's not pounds. Imagine that. It's 20 grand. Love the videos, lads.
We did ask for it weeks ago, so maybe someone's just been waiting for the last day.
There was that fella, wasn't there, who blagged us that time.
Some Bitcoin.
Some Bitcoin weirdo, but it never did happen, so we still haven't got a yacht. But if you want to get us a yacht, sound.
That'd be boss, wouldn't it, filming us on a yacht?
Yeah.
Would we be the only LFC or any only podcast filmed on a yacht?
Yeah. Make it happen. What else have we got to talk about? The actual, I guess the actual sort of like post-match, the actual how it was staged, that has attracted some criticism, some chat. And as I say, I think it was sort of getting there before, and then I went off onto a tangent. Being there and standing on the cop from, 15 minutes or so before kick-off through to the end of it, it was a bit of a grueler, like, to be honest with you. And look, I get it. I think you're right, and it's probably as being sort of dictated by Klopp a little bit, that every one of those people who was leaving, got their turn to walk through the Guard of Honour and up to the stage in the centre of the pitch and all that. But they drag on a bit, just a little bit. But that was what I was going to tell you. I don't know if you got onto that on the telly. So obviously, a lot of those people that went up, backroom staff, etc., there's no songs for them. Because, sort of, why would there be?
Yeah.
And the song, Jürgen Klopp, na, 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 na. We all started singing backroom staff, na, 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 na. So I don't know if you heard that on the telly, but I thought that was quite good. But that's sort of like, I thought maybe that's what they could have done. Like, they could have gone up, collectively, maybe, to shorten it a little bit. And it did feel a little bit corporate-y, a little bit too stage managed. But I guess we got a bit. I mean, look, we're nitpicking, aren't we? I think we probably got a bit of both worlds in terms of the suits got to do their bit, but then Klopp still got to come up to the cop, and the big group of them all giving it loads in front of the cop, and he fist bumped every corner of Anfield and all that kind of stuff. Said great things about the city and about the club, and then back the next fella. How did it feel watching all of that? And by the way, just got to get this in. There's lots of people I'm sure have seen this today. This is very much a fact. More people watch that than City getting the league, because no one cares, do they, about that? I had to laugh again driving in just now, listening to Noel Gallagher telling us about how they'd made history and it's 4 times and they're the greatest team ever and all this kind of stuff. Equally, I had to laugh at Nicky Campbell, 5 Live this morning. Like, I was cringing he was trying to be gushing about City, and whether he'd written it himself or someone in the team had written it, but wow, like, I was biting me fist. I was like, what? This is so cringy. And no one cares. No one cares, do they? It's just dead boring. And I think genuinely a problem now for the Premier League is you've lost the fella that stopped them winning many more in a row. Well,
he was the only thing stopping them doing 7 on the run.
There you go.
7.
So, you've lost that man, and you look around, you'd imagine Arsenal are going to be up there again because they've been up there now 2 seasons running, and they've got a good side. Although, there's still a little bit of a question mark over Arteta maybe about whether he's got the balls and all the rest of it, but You've lost the man who drove them onto those standards. Mad that Pep himself was upset as well, apparently. Did you see that?
Yeah, I've seen the interview. Have you seen it?
No, I've not seen it, but I've heard it referenced, across various things today, as I've tried to plough on with the day job, that he was upset, and I think he recognised that himself, didn't he? Didn't he say something along those lines that that Liverpool Klopp have driven him on, basically?
Yeah, basically said he said it before, hasn't he? Like, it made him a better manager. It brought out the best in him. He had to. We were talking about this the other week, weren't we? Like, the reality is, you can't be great without a great rival. It's just not possible.
Yeah.
And even this year, like, I've been saying this, we've praised Arsenal in recent months more than others have, I think, but fundamentally, Arsenal finished last season with 84 points and finished this season with 89 points. So they haven't even broken 90 points in 2 seasons. And everyone, they can have their complaints all they want, but in an era which involves Man City and Pep Guardiola, you can't expect to win the league with 89 points. Like, City did the treble last year and finished on 89 points. So I just don't think it's. They've done well, obviously, but I don't think it's a huge achievement. What
you keep learning though, don't you? Like, I think one of the good things about Klopp was that that sort of like the bounce back ability, if you like, from disappointment to okay, that's the standard, is it then?
Yeah, I think it was funny. I saw a bit of a clip on Sky, just during a bit of a tangent about talking about the title race in Arsenal and stuff, and a couple of people on Sky from one of those panels saying like, well, basically, like, Arsenal might as well give up now because they can't get any better than they are. I'm sitting there thinking, well, they only got 89 points, so they can get better, can't they?
Yeah, of course
they could buy better. They can buy more better players, so they don't have. If they hadn't got beat at home by Villa a few weeks ago, they'd have won the league. It's as simple as that. So, that was a bit of a mad thing to watch.
Ian Schroeder, made me laugh. That was the little laugh I did when you were mid talking. He said, what did you make of the trophies nailed to a skating board as a presentation to Jürgen? People as well are also commenting, unsurprisingly, about the fact that they think, yet again, we've coordinated wardrobe. I mean, to give you a bit of a behind the scenes, like, I'm sat here with, you know, computer and iPad set up and all that. And Kobe walked in, took his jacket off, and I was like, fuck's sake. Like, we've done it again. Literally, of course, we've never said to each other, what are you wearing, lad? Like, today's navy blue button-down collar shirt day.
Well, the irony is, if we did have that conversation, we wouldn't keep walking in with the same top on, would we?
But yeah, that's at least 3 times now. So fair play to you, all taking the piss out of it. You know, no, of course it wasn't intended. But yeah, the league table. I guess we should mention that City finished top, 91 points. Arsenal second, 89, and Liverpool third, 82. And I heard a lot of people say this. I guess it's nice that we did break the 80 points at least.
Yeah.
And, you know, we finish, and that's the important thing with played 38. Obviously, 124, drawn 10, lost 4, 86 goals scored, 41 conceded, and yeah, 82 points with Villa back and forth on 68. And look, you know, why hide the fact? It's quite amusing to see Manchester United in 8th, which I believe is one of their worst finishes for a long time. The worst
Premier League finish.
Excellent. So, you know, we may as well take something from that, and yeah, obviously Luton, Burnley and Sheffield United went down, and Villa got 4th, Tottenham 5th, Chelsea 6th, and yeah, we start looking ahead, I guess, to next season. But before all that, it's still going on, mate, that weird thing of people who are not really anything to do with us, or, you know, we don't care about, I guess, but just blathering their mouths off in the media on the regular, on a seemingly daily basis about why Jürgen Klopp's not all that. And it's...
Oh, is that still going on
that's
this
still
weekend?
Going on. Yeah. Piers Morgan,
oh.
You know, gobshite extraordinaire, has gone in and said, you know, he's not a Premier League great, because how can he be, because he only won 1 title. The previously mentioned Belland, Andy Goldstein, still banging that drum on a daily basis, it seems. And yeah, it's weird, isn't it? Like that, like they're desperate to keep saying it, and it's like, well, okay, let's see what happens from now on, Do you know what I mean? Let's, you know, because Guardiola said something along the lines of, I'm closer to the end than the beginning now, type of thing. And, you know, you do start to wonder, like, you know, what's the challenge in it for him? Do you know what I mean? So they've done 4 in a row, sound. You know, there's a double-double, you know, if they can win the FA Cup, which you would expect them to, whatever. It's just dead boring, and maybe there's a part of it that's dead boring for him. But is there a part where he just gets off and says, okay, I'm done, and you can sort all the charges out and I'll be on a beach somewhere? Or do you think he looks at it and goes, Klopp's out the way now, I may as well just keep hoovering up the trophies?
Well, he said in his immediate post-match thing on the pitch, he mentioned he's got 1 season left on his contract. And he said, like, the way he feels now, he's going to be the manager next season. But there was nothing beyond that. Like, there was no, like, I want to stay here for 20 years. And he's more like Klopp on that score, I think. Like, he's got no... I've never heard him talk in the sense that he wants to be like Wenger or Ferguson and stay at a club for 20 years. He's already stayed probably longer than he thought. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. Well, it still wouldn't surprise me if during the summer he changed his mind and decided to pack it in. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if he goes after next season, if he's got 1 season left. But that is huge. I'm just looking up as you were chatting about Piers Morgan, because I just thought, because I'm guessing Piers Morgan thinks Wenger's a legend.
Mm.
How many years was? I need to get that first. Do you know how many Premier League titles Wenger won?
No.
3.
But he was there.
But he was there for like 25 years, wasn't he? I'll get the actual figure. So, like, percentage wise, do you know does that make Wenger great or not?
I just think it's a bit mad. Like, you know, like some of the stuff I hear, you're just comparing things that aren't comparable for me. You know, so like him with the daft haircuts going on about, like, you know, well, if you compare him to Paisley this, and if you compare him to Paisley that, yeah, mate, if you compare anyone to Paisley, they're not going to be as great as Paisley, because Paisley's record is unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? But equally, Paisley didn't deal with Man City. Paisley didn't deal with a state-backed football club that is happy to play by different rules. Like, how many times do we have to say that? Paisley also didn't deal with the level of media that we've got now. Paisley didn't deal with all this nonsense around referees. Paisley didn't deal with the idea that, you score a legitimate goal and, the people watching it on the little television in a room say, yeah, it's a legitimate goal, that, and the referee doesn't hear it, plays on, gives it offside, and you disappear down a timeline that wasn't fair. No, you let it go. So let's get that in one more time.
One last time. Yes, Wenger was manager for 22 years. We've said it before. And look, they can all say what they want, can't they? The reality is, I can't believe anyone with any sense, any type of sense inside their heads. So maybe this explains why the likes of Piers Morgan and Andy Goldstein have got the opinions they have.
Well, maybe you're
I'm not sure
great,
there is any sense in there.
Maybe you're not a great if like you can just make statements, can't you? Which is what these people do. So here's my statement. If you haven't won a European Cup, you're not a great.
Yeah, there you go.
So how many European Cups did Wenger win?
Exactly.
For Arsenal.
Well, and there was
not a great. There was
another stat. There was only, I think there's only three Premier League managers in the history of the Premier League have won. And I know there's the whole conversation about, it's only since 1992, but there's only three since then have won with the same club, the league, the Premier League title, and the Champions League.
It's just being a blade, isn't it? For the sake of being a blade, it's like this other nonsense of same number of titles as Ranieri or Pellegrini or whoever you want. I don't know, and it's like, okay, so did Leicester win the European Cup?
That's the point. It's not the same number of titles; it's the same number of Premier League titles.
Because that's the only cack they can come out with, isn't it? And
yeah,
it's like,
exactly.
Well, we'll ignore the Club World Cup. We'll
ignore the fact
Super
he's
Cup.
the only Liverpool manager to win every trophy. Does that not make him a great? Shankly didn't do that. Paisley didn't do that.
And this is where I keep saying it's down to us. It's up to us. Do you know what I mean? So the knobheads can say the nonsense, but it's fans of Liverpool who get to decide, as far as I'm concerned. And if someone somewhere already says, haven't they, that Klopp, like Shankly here, should have some kind of statue or something around the ground to recognise what he did, I'd be behind that, because it's not just about the number of trophies anyway, and it's not just about the number of league titles anyway. It's the first league title after 3 decades, when lots of other managers have come in, tried, failed. There's getting that monkey off Liverpool's back, so there's that aspect to it. But it's just making Liverpool again. That's the biggest achievement for me. It's making us competitive again. It's reminding us of who we were, who we are. It's making Anfield again as well. Do you know what I mean? Like I used to obviously produce a fanzine, well read, and we used to regularly put debates in there, comments in there, pieces in there, that the Anfield atmosphere had gone. And you think about some of the things that happened under Rodgers. I've mentioned it before, the rolling the red carpet out for Real Madrid, things like that. And you were like, I can remember lots of, long-term match-going Reds who were looking around the ground that night in that stadium saying, what's happened here? What's this like reverence towards Real Madrid? This isn't us. Yeah. This isn't Liverpool. Why aren't we, where's the defiance? Where's the fight? Where's the atmosphere? Why aren't we saying, it doesn't matter who they are, we're Liverpool and we can beat anyone that you put in front of us? And Klopp's brought that back. You said a stat before, didn't you, to me about the number of home game wins, was it, or being unbeaten in whatever?
Unbeaten in 4 seasons at home. Only Mourinho has ever matched that. Guardiola's only done that once. Ferguson only did it 3 times.
Yeah, and you wouldn't exactly say City's ground's a bear pit or anything, would you? You know what I mean? Like, that nonsense that always happens where the BBC or Lab Bible or someone somewhere will say, what are the best grounds for atmosphere? And you'll get all these opposition fans saying, Anfield's a myth. Well, Dortmund showed it wasn't a myth. Barcelona showed it wasn't a myth. You know, plenty of nights, plenty of days showed it's back and it's loud and proud as ever before. Like I say, that wasn't there. There was definitely an issue where you were like, it might have gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We might have lost something here. And that to me is one of the biggest achievements for Jürgen Klopp. Making Liverpool again. Making us think we can have an influence again. Recognising the power of the support. That's why I say that, you know, like I nearly went in his speech at that bit. Because that's the important bit. And like, you know, when I was ranting to myself in the car before about him saying, you know, a grown man shouldn't be there singing songs on a microphone. And I was literally saying in my car out loud, we get to decide that, not bad. And, you know, you think about that West Brom game, you know, celebrating a draw, as all the Bellend said when he brought all the players up to the Kop. Yeah, he wasn't celebrating a draw, lads. He was celebrating the fact that we all got behind the side and we were able to pull a draw out of a situation where we were going to lose. He was celebrating the fact that we got it. We'd done what he'd asked for. And that is a Liverpool thing, and that is the Liverpool way. And he's brought that back. And that he's been like a cultural architect, hasn't he? You know what I mean? And this is what worries me, and this to go back to the being worried and the having the blues post Klopp sort of thing. That's what worries me about. Can slot in and just get it from day one in the same way, and can all his backroom staff, and will he say the right thing? Will he know when to say the right thing? Will he be as good as Klopp in press conferences? Will he be able to fire us up in the same way? Will he be able to fire the team up in the same way? And it's just a huge ask, isn't it?
Yes, and at the same time, everything you've just described about Klopp and what he's done to Liverpool, which you don't get a trophy for, but is way more important to being a football supporter than any of the trophies. Everything you've just said gives Slot the best chance of being successful. Because think about everything you've just said. Think about, we weren't alive back then, but I could imagine if you go back to asking Liverpool supporters who were there when Shankly packed it in, like, how do you feel about Bob Paisley taking over? Bob Paisley is like the opposite personality to Bill Shankly. Quiet, unassuming, you know, hasn't got that big bolshiness about him, hasn't got that aura about him, but he just came in very quietly and very calmly and just won everything there was to win. Like, dominated in a way that Shankly hadn't. So it's strange, I'm not actually as worried about stuff like that. I think the work that Klopp has done to create what he has, to build Liverpool back to being what it was before, the fan base and the ground, that should endure at least for a while. That I don't think that's going to be demolished. And I think looking at Arne Slot and Feyenoord and what he's done there, and the type of man he seems to be, and, you know, looking at the clips of him leaving there and the reception he's got from their fans, I don't think it's like when we've appointed managers when we've been at our ropey years before Klopp came in. He's got pedigree. Do you know, we've seen that in the past, how, like, think about when Moyes took over Ferguson, and for all of Ferguson's genius, yeah, it's crazy when you look back that he picked Moyes, because the thing about, I remember hearing Gordon Strachan say this once about going from like managing Southampton to managing Celtic, I think it was. It's like, it's a completely different mindset. You can't go from the mindset of managing Everton, where your aim is to win 50% of your games and finish mid-table or try and get to the top four. Your mindset has to be, you win every single game. You're trying to win every competition you're in. And I heard Rio Ferdinand say a few weeks ago, like, there was a couple of, and he said he felt sorry for Moyes because he came in and he was just, you could tell he was just overawed by the whole thing. Like, Joe on a pre-season tour or something, he looked at the senior players at one point and was like, big club this, isn't it? And Ferdinand was like, it's not a good sign, that, mate. And he said there was a couple of games where they would prepare him to play a major rival, and Moyes was setting them up to not get beat. Yeah. And Ferdinand's going, whoa, no. Yeah. Like, that's not what we do here. we go out to beat everybody. Doesn't matter who they are. We go out to beat everyone. That mindset shift
when we went there and won under Rodgers before the match, he was talking about what a great side Liverpool were. He was pitching Manchester United as underdogs.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what I mean? How the mighty have fallen. This is what I mean about you've got to talk the talk, walk the walk.
But that's where I'm not concerned. Like, because I think when Rodgers came in, he could talk the talk, but he didn't have the track record. We all knew that. We could all look at him and go, well, yeah, you've got potential, mate, but what have you ever won?
Yeah.
The difference this time is we've got, like, I use the Moyes example as well. When Moyes goes into that dressing room at Old Trafford and he's talking to players who've won everything and they're looking at him going, I don't believe a word you say right now. He's got nothing to back it up. He's got nothing to back up I'm going to change the way we play. Whereas Slot's coming in going, well, I've won stuff too. Like, I've won the league. I know it's not this league. I know I won the Champions League, but I've won the league. So I know what that takes. And my teams win. And I've got this track record, and look at my defensive record compared to what you were doing before. There's enough positivity there. And I just want to go back to the thing you were saying before about the blitz, like Morgan and Goldstein and all the people on 5 Live and all this bullshit here. I think this goes for any human, but it says more about them than it does about Jürgen Klopp, and it says about us, about them criticising him for these things, because it comes back to what I said about Carragher before. If you've got Andy Goldstein saying a grown man shouldn't be singing a song on a microphone in front of a crowd of people who love him, that says more about you, mate, than it does about us, and it says about Klopp. Because why shouldn't he? Why shouldn't a grown man do that? Why shouldn't a grown man help people be happy? That's exactly what grown men should do. What's wrong with that? That's what we're here for. Like, if there's a small number of humans who are able to lift other humans up, and those who can do it should do it in whatever way they can.
Did you see that thing I sent you before? I'm not going to attempt to say the German. You can have a go if you want, but whatever the phrase was, it said Jürgen Klopp was a people catcher.
Yeah.
I love that because that's ultimately it. Like we were having all these conversations, over a beer yesterday, and it was all like, where'd you put him in the pantheon of greats and all this kind of stuff. And I said, however you want to rank it, and however you want to detail like how good a manager he is or whatever, I said I can tell you with absolute certainty, out of every football manager Liverpool have ever had, Jürgen Klopp's the one I most want to go for a pint with, because just as a man, that's what we're going to miss. The man Jürgen Klopp, not necessarily, the football manager, the football coach. Yeah, okay, that bit is potentially replaceable. The man isn't, though, is he? Do you know what I mean? We're going to miss the man. And when we were talking about it as well, there's the worry of, and I'm just, look, I don't want to like bullshit me thoughts. These are me thoughts. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're going to miss that man. And when the season starts, everyone, Liverpool fans, the outside world, whatever you want, is going to compare what Slot's doing to what Klopp did. How's he setting up differently? I think you said in the show the other week, didn't you? Like the first five games are going to be huge, aren't they? Everyone's watching. We're all watching. Off you go. And look, one of my mates sent us a tweet earlier, Dave, saying about, that there's a lot to work with. We're in a good place. And I agree with all that. He says, Dave Molyneux, he says, a lot of people say the club's in a good state and they're spot on. Not saying Slot's got it easy, but his job will be easier because the talent available to him is amazing. He talked about Trent potentially moving into midfield. Talked about McAllister. You've got all the stalwarts, all the fellas who still have got the muscle memory of winning top titles and all that. And then obviously, given who went out, we mentioned the other week, there's going to be some budget there for new players. So, he's inheriting a club in a better place than what Jürgen inherited. But yeah, We'll see. Well, look, we'll see, won't we?
It was funny. I mentioned you the other day. I was in a chat with the taxi driver about it, and I said the bit you say, and you referenced earlier about his first press conference. And I said the challenging thing for Slot is it's not just the first game. He starts getting hyper analysed about, like, his pre-season will be analysed, as it always is. But his very first words, the very first things he says.
There's people analysing the fact that he said he got the job.
Yeah.
What's he doing saying he's got the job when Liverpool haven't even announced it?
Exactly.
Not bad.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
So think about, and people, you just can't help doing this. It's human nature. The minute after he's finished his first press conference, when he's unveiled as Liverpool's manager, the immediate thing after that is likely to be everyone sort of looking at each other and going, wasn't as good as Klopp's though, was it? Because the chances of anyone coming in and doing a better press conference than Klopp's is very, very slim. So
have you got the bus today at all?
Yeah.
Was it the 26th?
Yeah. Someone see me on the bus. Yeah.
John Fisher. Reckon I saw Kopi jumping on the 26th before. Was going to say hello, but he looks a right narc. There you go. Spotted.
Fair. Spotted. Yeah.
Spotted.
That's a proper normal person spot, though, isn't it? Spotted getting on the 26 bus.
Yeah.
Going to the podcast.
I was going to try and work through a few of your comments as well, because I did promise that would be the case. So let me just get some more. The other thing, just to mention about stats as well, that we always throw some in, don't we? Jürgen Klopp has ended his managerial career at Liverpool with the best win percentage of any manager who's basically managed a significant number of games. So 62.12 win percentage at Liverpool. John McKenna's is better, 69.44, but he only managed 36 games, whereas Jürgen managed 491. So I think we can give that one to Jürgen. In terms of significant number managers, Rafa Benitez 56.29, Houllier 307 games, 52.12, Roy Evans 226, 51.77, Kenny Dalglish 381 Liverpool games managed in his first spell, 58.53. Joe Fagan, 54. Bob Paisley, there's been a lot of Bob Paisley chat. He managed 535 Liverpool games. His win percentage was 57.57. And Bill Shankly, 783 games managed, 51.98. So yeah, he's topped that one. I'm sure someone somewhere won't be happy about that. And guess what? Don't care. Okay. What else have we had in? Let's have a look. Paul Brooks makes a very simple point about what we were just talking about. He says, if Slot still wants to follow Jürgen, then he's the right man. And there is something in that, isn't there?
Definitely.
If you've got the ball, he's not going to be daft, this fella, and he's not going to have daft people around him. And all the stuff we're saying and lots of people are saying about, wow, how'd you follow this man? Well, he's coming anyway. Do you know what I mean? He's going, oh yeah, I want to do that. Bring it. Do you know what I mean? That alone is a positive, isn't it?
100%. And look, we love Xabi Alonso, but and I'm sure his decision wasn't solely based on he didn't want to follow Klopp. I think there's many reasons why he'd want to stay at Leverkusen and keep building. For a start, he's never managed a Champions League campaign whilst trying to win a league. So you'd think he'd want to try and do that before taking over a huge club like ours. But the reality is, could you have a better opportunity to take over Liverpool? Forget the pressure of following Klopp. You get to walk into a squad that's already really good, has just won a trophy and had a tilt at the title. Okay, it faded away at the end, but that's given them experience. You can also, there are some very fast, quick wins that you can make this team better. It's not like you're taking over an unbelievable football team that can't improve. We all know, all they need to do is come in and tighten the defence, and we'll all be like, well, that's better. And there are clear areas of the squad that you can improve. So all he needs to do come in, and this won't be him, obviously. It's buy a world-class defensive midfielder, and we'll all be like, oh, that's good. Buy another world-class centre-back, and we'll all be like, that's good. And I think that's all part of the positivity for going forward. And if I was Slot, I'd be coming in going, I don't understand why no one would want this job. Like, it's a great opportunity to take over a really big club. Because when do you ever get the chance to take over a big club when things are going well? Usually it's because you need to do some major surgery and something needs to be sorted out. Even Ferguson, when Ferguson left United, he'd done it in, I'm sure, I think you said there's a United fan listens to this, maybe I'll get criticised for this, but to me it seemed like Alex Ferguson left Man United wanting to go out so that Alex Ferguson could win one last league title. He didn't buy Robin Van Persie thinking, this is good for the future of Man United, did he? He bought Robin Van Persie thinking, this is good for me to win the league one last time before I retire. Whereas Jürgen Klopp did the opposite. Jürgen Klopp has always looked at what's in the best interests of LFC in the long term. But that means that Slot isn't coming in taking over an ageing side that needs to be rebuilt. He's coming in, taking over a side that's already largely been rebuilt with a load of positivity and a load of youngsters who are phenomenal. We haven't even talked on this show, but it popped into my head a couple of weeks ago. We talk about, Joe, the squad we've got, the lads that coming through. There are lads out on loan here who are doing really well that we've all sort of forgotten about. The likes of Tyler Morton, Carvalho. For all we know, they come back into the fold. They've got something to prove. He can do that thing again, can't he, to the entire squad, where he says, like, fresh start, everyone. Yeah. Blank canvas. Prove to me you should be in my first team, and you're in.
And lots of people, including me, when I saw the footage of Nunes not clapping, but then Nunes later dancing with Klopp, and so you're like, oh, well, I thought there might have been beef when I didn't see the clapping, but then he's dancing with him, so maybe there is no beef or no beef. It's a fresh start, isn't it, for him? So if he felt aggrieved that he became a substitute by the end of the season, well, he can show the next manager that he shouldn't be, can't he?
Yeah, I have to say though, mate, like, something that drives me insane about the modern world is this like incessant analysis of like people in small moments. Do you know what I mean? All it takes for him, in that footage of him not clapping for 3 seconds, is his mind's wandered onto something else, like we all do because we're humans. And all of a sudden it's like, look, if we look at him closely there, he's not clapping, and look at his face on this picture, he's not smiling enough for my liking. Like, come on.
Yeah, there's an angry Mo picture that's done the rounds as well, isn't it? He's got a cop on.
Grumpy, yeah.
Yeah, he's got a cop on.
Well, you can hyperanalyze, Joe, like the really lovely videos they were doing in the week on Sky and stuff, and there's the ones where they're asking Joe what are their memories of Klopp coming in and did they sign for him and stuff. None of what Mo Salah says, if you analyse it like to the nth degree, none of it is like particularly, I love him to bits and it was great. It was like, yeah, he phoned me, he told me what position I'd play, he said he'd give me a bit of freedom. I thought, yeah, I'll come. You're like, that's just who he is. Yeah. Like, that's just the way he is. Like, we don't need to hyper-analyse every second of every human.
Thanks to Daniel Wellens, £10 on the super chat there, super like. Cheers for the pods, lads. Really interested to see what a fresh setup brings next season. Couple of ale tokens on me. Thanks for that, mate. Cheers. We're running out of time now. I kept saying we're going to get to people's comments and then we've waffled away. Carl Trotman says, good seeing you yesterday, even in my Wolves top. He did have a Boss Adidas trackie on, but it was black and gold, and I was like, bit Wolves.
Coming his Wolves colours for the final day.
He says, I think my main concern going into the summer is a lack of time for Slot and how much of a change you'll want to implement as soon as possible. I mean, we said before, didn't we? We've cracked 80 points there. That doesn't suggest loads of things need fixing, does it? And equally, I think we were saying last week, the amount of young players that have been blooded this season, and that you would happily, in fact, that's an interesting one for you, isn't it, mate? Given what you said at the start of the season just gone, and then given what you've watched, we go into next season, day one, the back four is Robertson, Trent, and the centre. And the centre, you know what I want to say? Yeah. The centre halves of Van Dijk and Kwanzaa. Are you happy?
No.
Why?
Because and it's important to say, I think, as we all think, like, pretty much Kwanzaa's great, but you're not winning the league with him as your second choice centre back. That's what I think. I think you need to buy.
Last goal of the Klopp era as well.
Yeah. Well, he scored 2 in 2, hasn't he? After me saying the other week, I think he watches and I spared him on. After me saying the other week, Joe, a £70 million centre back for City has scored like 5 goals in the last 7 games to help them get over the line. We've got a kid there, and then he pops up and scores 2 in 2 for the last 2. So fair play to you. But no, if he's our 3rd choice centre back or our 4th choice centre back, I think that's fantastic. I think that gives us real strength in depth. But I think we need to go out and buy another top quality centre back. If for no other reason that Virgil's getting a bit older now as well. Like, this is the thing we do and we've done for a long time. And you can get into the bigger conversation about FSG and the model and all the rest of it. But Joe, we have one Virgil van Dijk, and then we build around him in the back. Whereas City don't do that. City buy one Virgil van Dijk, and then the next season go buy another Virgil van Dijk, or 2 seasons after. Do you know what I mean? They don't stop. They just keep building. And you have to do that if you want to compete with them to some degree.
And we need someone because, Matip's gone.
Yeah.
And Kanate's form's not
the best,
but
look, this comes back to the Slot thing. Slot might come in and say, Joe Gomez is a phenomenal centre-back and we're going to play him centre-back again. And he'll get the best out of him that we haven't seen for a few years in that position. Because Klopp obviously decided, and for all we know, Gomez, as much as he loved Klopp clearly, might be like, yeah, I'm ready to play centre-back again now. Klopp had obviously decided Gomez was going to be his utility full-back stroke midfielder this year, and that's fine. But for all we know, Joe Gomez is desperate to play centre-back.
We keep saying Slot as well. We've got a director of football there as well. We've got, Michael Edwards kicking about, and we've got Julian Ward kicking about again now. And, we might be back to that power of minds thing. And, there's a bit of a committee almost decided on.
They've all got something to prove as well, haven't they, coming back in? So you would think that I would imagine they're already going, here's our little list of superstars, like secret superstars that no one else has spotted. Which we'd expect with those, like that brain power and their data analytics. They should be able to find people. I heard people talking about this the other day. I was watching a little bit of an Anfield wrap, and people are saying like, yeah, but there's no one out there, and like, yeah, but that's literally their job. Like, if we could do that job, they wouldn't be so great at what they do. It's way more complicated. And it's funny when people say this, like defensive midfielder. It's like, well, who's out there you could buy? Like, I'd never heard of Rodri before City bought him. I'd heard of Fabinho, but I wouldn't have said go and buy him and he'll solve all of our defensive midfield problems.
And also, we were ready to obviously buy Caicedo and buy, what was the other fella, Lavia. It'll be interesting. We've definitely got more to talk about here, haven't we? After me being concerned about filling 2 shows, we are at the end of one and about to start another one. We haven't really dug into your comments, so I think we can dig into your comments in the second half. We can also talk about what Jürgen Klopp achieved at Liverpool, not just in terms of trophies, but in terms of facts, figures, stats, and all the rest of it. Someone said before, if you read all them out, how can you not be impressed by it? Well, we'll have a go at doing just that. Thanks to Ian Woods, who says, cheers fellas, we've experienced a lifetime of football in 9 years, up the Reds. He's thrown in $10, so thank you for that. Thanks, Ian. We've also got a message here which is worth me mentioning, which is from Dave Wilson, who says, when you boys go live on Patreon afterwards, where do I go to watch it? I'm a subscriber. So if you want to continue watching almost straight away, not straight away, don't get a cob on if it's not immediately there. What we do is we have a little break, we have a cup of tea, the lads generate a link for us and we'll share that in Patreon. So if you're already subscribed to Patreon, you can go and look for the post that will appear there shortly. You can click the YouTube link in there and you can go and watch the next bit of the show live. Equally, if you're not watching live, you can watch it at your leisure, and it will also follow up as being a podcast, as will this show too. This show will remain free. We'll keep going through the summer. We'll be talking about lots of different things. We'll probably do a bit of mental health. People are talking about Chris. We'll probably do that. They were asking in the studio before whether we're going to do something on aliens. We might do. We might finally get Stu.
Request?
We might finally get Stu right, and who knows? We might finally get Mo Stewart in. Both of those have been sounded out in case one of us, fancies going on holiday. I defo do. I'm in the process of booking one. So more on that soon. I'm sure you want to go away as well. And we're not just going to try and record 1,000,001 shows. We're going to try and draft in some more than able substitutes to come in. But yeah, if you want to back what we do, first and foremost, of course, go over and join Patreon, watch the subscription show. You get to watch all the past subscription shows as well. They're all there to watch at your leisure. Loads of them not time sensitive. Loads of them on a range of different subjects, as I was just saying. You can also get involved with Buy Me a Coffee. Buy Me a Coffee, the Late Challenge podcast. If you stick all that into Google, you'll find it easy enough, and that's just a way of you throwing in if you want to throw in to help with our studio costs and everything else. And yeah, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed all the footy stuff we've done this season. We'll carry on with a bit of that as we go on through the summer, but obviously, there's not as much football around. People talking about the Euros. Are we that bothered about the Euros? Maybe we do a show about why we are or why we aren't. But yeah, we'll keep going. We'll keep producing stuff. We had a great review this week on Twitter, which said, it's like two old fellas in a pub. Take that. Yeah, I'll take that. These two old fellas literally did go to a pub on Friday, which was very nice. We had a bit of a mandate, and very nice it was too. Yeah, keep watching, keep listening. If you like what we're doing, share it around as well, please. That's always good stuff. Click like, throw a comment in for the algorithm, and do as well. Click subscribe on YouTube. That's free to do. Doesn't cost you any money, but it means more people get onto our channel. And that number hasn't been creeping up very much recently, so it's doing me head in. Click it. Have you done it yet? Go on. And yeah, if you don't want to get involved with the subscription stuff, that's fine too. We'll see you next week on the free show. And yeah, if you want to jump over and watch the rest of this show on Patreon, well, feel free. We'll be there soon. Up the Reds. See you next week.